i.e. Gazzetta Football Italia, Q titles. Hello, here I am, back at home, Italy of course. Had a good week, 2 good wins following the week, but more about that later. But first, this.
Coming up, Napoli versus Roma. James Richardson brings us the stories behind this week's headlines. All the goals from Sunday's Serie A. Win a trip to Italy in this week's competition. Gazza, Lazio, and all the goals from the Italian Cup. Gazza takes us through his week. And a special report from Turin on tomorrow's live game, AC Milan versus Torino.
We had a busy week this week. We played Gazza in the Cup and a great result, and some of that action later. But one of the big games this week was Roma against Napoli, and here's some of the action.
Napoli's coach, Claudio Ranieri, needs a win to secure his own future at the club. Napoli's only success in Serie A has been against Foggia. Pollicano and Corradini are dropped, while Crippa is suspended for this game as Napoli seek their first home win here. Mauro starts his first match of this term, while Fonseca remains Napoli's main threat when it comes to goals. 5 now in the league this season. Roma have recorded 2 wins now in the last 7 days against Inter in the league and Grasshoppers in the UEFA Cup on Wednesday. This the starting 11 who scored 4 at home to Internazionale last week when Hessler, Rizzitelli, Giannini and Benedetti found the target. Claudio Caniggia, the Argentinian international, is the 4th overseas player who's unable to force his way into this team. Napoli have roamed creatively in the opening of this game, but haven't really had a shot on goal of any distinction. Gianfranco Zola now. Mauro. That's a long-range effort by Mauro. It was straight at Chavoni. He didn't have to dive left or right, but it was still a difficult save. A venomous shot, which the goalkeeper was happy to turn over. That's a great ball by Fonseca. Zola's cross, that's uncertain goalkeeping, and it isn't punished though by Careca. The Roma defence advertised their vulnerability then, and it all stemmed by Chavoni's weak clearance after Zola crossed the ball. Careca couldn't get a clean shot on goal. This time Chavoni gets a fist to the ball, but the whistle has gone. And Fonseca and Zola combining very effectively then. But Napoli still unable to take the lead. Carnevale, that's consummate skill by Carnevale, and that's a consummate dive. But it does win Roma the free kick. Carnevale was always looking for that free kick. Mihailovic to take it. Hessler. Oh, wasn't too far away. Hessler's more renowned as a dead ball expert. That really was a stunning volley. Greeted with almost total silence in the Stadio San Paolo. Roma close to taking the lead. That's a great little ball played in towards Carreca, who's going to be cautioned for his ungentlemanly conduct, trying to con the referee that he'd been fouled inside that Roma penalty area. And the message is quite plain from Graziano Cesare: cut it out. There might have been the suspicion of a body check here, but nothing more. Argentina forcing it wide. Carbone. One back by Napoli, and they've won an awful lot of possession in midfield. Not the most pleasing aspect of their game, but they're finishing still to secure a goal. Fonseca. Tremendous volley. Once that ball was laid up to him, only one thing on his mind: to find the target. Zola to take it. Fonseca! They have the lead in injury time at the end of the first half, and Fonseca races towards his manager, Claudio Ranieri, to say, that one's for you. Scenes of tremendous joy down on the Napoli bench as Fonseca gives his side the lead. That's his 6th league goal of the season. Napoli leading by 1-0 then at half-time. Last season this fixture produced 5 goals, Napoli winning by 3-2. It's a first half in which Napoli in blue have dominated. Roma have possession at the start of this second half. Napoli playing from right to left in this second period. Napoli have lost their last 2 league games, and so important they keep their noses in front here against Roma. There's Jonas Turn, the Swedish international who signed from Benfica during the summer. Claudio Ranieri still giving instructions from the touchline, despite the fact he must have spent the last 10 minutes in the dressing room sorting things out with his team. At least they do have this 1-goal lead. Mauro takes the throw and has it back again. Zola. Back to Mauro. Well, that's an impressive cross. Is it number 2? It is now! It's a scramble goal, but they don't care about that. Carreca forces it over the goal line. It's his 2nd goal of the season. And the man who's been desperately unhappy at the club since Maradona left might have just given them a lifeline. He hooked it back over his shoulder. He was standing on the goal line, but Napoli lead 2-0. Hessler. Look how he hardly ever looks down at the ball. Always looking for a colleague like Carbone. Carbone really has an electric burst of pace. And not only that, at the end of it, he produced an outstanding shot too, which stung the palms of Gelli in the Napoli goal. Roma pushing for a goal. And the Napoli defender hadn't retreated 10 yards when the corner was taken. So they'll have to do it all over again. In fact, the referee has awarded a free kick against Carbone, the right-hand side midfield player. So a short corner. And they have a goal. They've converted their chance. Benedetti, the former Torino player, has pulled a goal back for Roma in this game. No one tracked his run inside the Napoli penalty area, and his header was firm and past Galli. It's Napoli 2, Roma 1. And Careca about to come off here for Napoli. Rizzitelli, it's a 100 metres dash now. And claims that he won the corner. Now the linesman says goal kick, and Rizzitelli is going to be in trouble for his protestations here. It's his second cautionable offence, and off he goes. Being pulled away from the linesman by his coach, Vojvodin Boskov. And that really was an unnecessary dismissal. The second in a week now for Roma, after Carnevali was sent off against Grasshoppers in the UEFA Cup on Wednesday. And once again they have disciplinary problems, which is undermining their ambitions of becoming one of Italy's top teams. Argentini wins the corner. Tarantino is number 5. Hessler takes this corner for Roma. They scored their first goal with a corner. Oh, and a free header by Giannini. Napoli really do have a problem on these dead ball situations when it appears Roma come alive. Roma winning a lot of possession now. But they've given it away rather disappointingly. Zola! Oh, it's dragged it too wide, and there was nobody there inside the box to take advantage of that quick piece of thinking there by Gianfranco Zola. Decided to go wide of the goalkeeper, and his touch wasn't good enough. Fonseca was far too far behind him. Napoli have won. Their losing run comes to an end. And the future of their coach, Claudio Ranieri, for the time being, is secure. It's only their second win in the Serie A this season.
All the rest of the Serie A goals coming up, but first, James Richardson with news of the week.
Let's start this week with the press's reaction to Juventus' loss to Inter last weekend. So you can see the Corriere dello Sport on Monday headed with Ciao Mito, rough translation, goodbye to the legend, kicking off the debate about just who is to blame for La Signora's current woes. On Tuesday, things heated up. Trapattoni made the cover of the Corriere saying, "Shoot at me." Inside, however, he directed our aim elsewhere, casting doubt on Roberto Baggio's maturity as leader of the Juventus team, and indeed on whether the player should have even been on the field on Sunday. Juventus without Baggio? Well, not surprisingly, Roberto was rather taken aback by all this, and even half-jokingly suggested to journalists that Trapattoni should be fined for his outburst, for which, rather ironically, Baggio was himself fined. After the Inter game, Gianluca Vialli was asked, with the demise of Juventus, who now can stop Milan? Probably the police, he replied, which brings me to a rather personal question. Where were you on the 26th of May 1991? Milan were in Parma, drawing with the Parma football team and setting off a chain of 17 months of unbeaten football. Now, they were back there again this Sunday, winning 2-0, which is now their 41st game in a row without defeat. It earned them the title Invincible in the Gazzetta dello Sport this week and also set a new Italian record. Now, they're still one away from the mark set by Nottingham Forest between 1977 and 1978, when the Notts boys went 42 games without defeat, and they're even further away from the European record held by Steaua Bucharest. Between 1986 and 1989, Steaua Bucharest went an incredible 104 games without being defeated once, which is a pretty incredible figure. Milan, though, to celebrate their successes, Silvio Berlusconi went out shopping and he bought the team Dennis Bergkamp. Now, Bergkamp had been rumoured to be off to Juventus next season for the sum of £9 million, but instead Milan have swooped, buying the Ajax star to add to their colony of Dutchmen, and a move that's seen here as spelling the end to Ruud Gullit's career with the club. Well, meanwhile, down in Napoli, the club may have earned their coach Ranieri a reprieve after the win against Roma, but the problems with Sevilla are still continuing. Sevilla are taking what you can only describe as the check is in the mail approach to their payments for Maradona, and Napoli have once again faxed FIFA asking for an annulment to the contract. Maradona, meanwhile, has been busy playing friendlies, trying to earn enough funds to help the Spanish club pay off the trade. There have been 3 of them played so far, and in fact on the 11th of November we were to have seen Milan at Sevilla. However, Fabio Capello has vetoed that game. Instead, the talk is now of a friendly between Bayern Munich and Lazio, with Maradona guesting, or should I say lending a hand, to the German club. The game would certainly be a good opportunity for Bayern Munich to make the offer they're reportedly considering for Lazio's Karl-Heinz Riedler. But since all of this is still yet to be confirmed, I should avoid holding your breath on this one. That's all for the moment. Coming up after the break is a roundup of all of last weekend's Serie A goals, plus another of our fabulous competitions.
Welcome back. Our competition next, but first, a roundup of the weekend's goal action.
The league's most miserly defence were breached within 6 minutes, directly from Puchedo's corner. Brescia keeper Landucci, who'd had an outstanding game against Juventus last week, will be having words with his defence about this one. 10 minutes later, Brescia conceded an almost identical goal when Cagliari fullback Napoli was left unmarked and headed past Landucci at the far post. Brescia thought they had a foothold in the game when they were awarded a penalty for this foul by Yelpo on Scanardi. But Hagi failed to convert the spot kick, even though he sent Yelpo the wrong way. Scanardi was again involved as Brescia continued to fight back, Yelpo pulling off that fine save. Cagliari's 2 Uruguayan internationals combine here as Francescoli heads on Herrera's long ball. The Brescia keeper was kept busy as Napoli connected with Mattioli's cross. Early in the second half, Brescia had a goal disallowed. Negro offside as he puts this one in. So Brescia lose 2-0. It's their first home defeat for more than a year. Fiorentina, hoping to end Sampdoria's unbeaten start to the season, began in fine style when Baiano surprised Pagliuca on the near post a minute after the kickoff. The home team were without their suspended imports, Laudrup and Effenberg, but they were doing okay without them. It was clear that Sampdoria were going to struggle without their central defender Viekovod. Batistuta, returning to the side after a spell with Argentina in Saudi Arabia, should have done better. Then Lombardo hit only Pagliuca offered any kind of resistance to Fiorentina's relentless advance, pulling off 2 great saves from Batistuta, and then Orlando. Then Orlando was released by a chip by Di Mauro. Pioli headed over from Baiano's corner. And Baiano was involved again to supply the final ball to Batistuta, who scores his 5th of the season. Baiano and Batistuta are rapidly becoming one of Serie A's most feared partnerships. The pair come together again, and Des Walker, not enjoying the best of games, could do nothing about Baiano's turn and shot. Sampdoria had to rely on Pagliuca with this fine save from Batistuta. Then Batistuta found Baiano again. But once again, Pagliuca got in the way. Orlando's follow-up clears the bar. In the 79th minute, Batistuta had his shirt tugged by Jugovic. Penalty. And Baiano took the spot kick himself for his 2nd and Fiorentina's 3rd. Nothing would go right for Sampdoria as Jugovic then hit an upright. Fiorentina's 4th goal came when Beltrami latched on to Di Mauro's pass. Batistuta dribbled round Pagliuca for his 2nd goal of the game. 6 now for Batistuta, which puts him 3rd in the goal-scoring charts. So Fiorentina easily win 4-0 and move up into 3rd place. Serie A's bottom 2 sides faced each other for the first time in the top flight, Ancona looking for their first win. The early signs were promising as the Argentinian Zarate raced clear to put the home side ahead. 6 minutes into the game. With Ancona's patron in prison and the club up for sale, Zarate seems destined for a quick return to his former club, Nuremberg. The striker, hoping to stay in Italy, was determined to show his worth and added a second just after the half-hour mark. "2-0 then to Ancona. The Argentinian coming inside to deliver a lethal shot. Foggia, whose president has also placed his club on the market, came close through Kolivanov. Before Zarate slipped past Foggia's weak defence, only to see his hat-trick denied by the upright. Early in the second half, Agostini's theatrical fall didn't fool the referee. And at the other end, the referee failed to spot a clear penalty, but as the ball came out, Seno mistimed his drive and the ball went wide. Ancona went 3-0 up in injury time when the other Argentinian import, Oscar Ruggieri, headed over Gadda's corner. It was Ruggieri's first goal of the season. He was clear of the defence and found the target. It's Ancona's first win of the season and takes them off the bottom of the table. Lazio, looking for their first win against Atalanta in 19 years, took the lead after just 40 seconds when Paul Gascoigne laid the ball off to Beppe Signori. Nine goals for Signori this season to take him top of the goal-scoring charts. Atalanta's D'Agostini tested the reflexes of Fiore in the Lazio goal. And then Thomas Doll volleyed straight into the hands of Ferron from Favali's cross. Into the second half, and Lazio go further into the lead as Doll's long ball finds Signori. And he sets up Winter at the second attempt to give the Dutch international his second goal in 2 games. It's a fast-flowing move which emphasises Lazio's attacking quality and justifies Winter's selection ahead of Karl-Heinz Riedler. The pressure continued as Doll combined with Favali to find Signori, who shot across the face of the goal. Signori again went close as Ferron palmed his shot wide. And now one of the major incidents of the game. Gascoigne and Alamau tangle in the corner, and the confrontation develops into something of a brawl as several players from both sides get involved. In the end, both Lusardi and Alamau are sent off. But Lazio had the last laugh as Diego Fuser scored from this free kick. 4 goals now for him this season, all of them of the highest quality. The same 3 players scored in this game as they'd done against Milan the previous week. Right at the end, Scloser, who'd come on for an exhausted Gascoigne, had this goal disallowed for offside. So Paul Gascoigne inspiring his teammates to a 3-0 victory, and they climb up into the top 5 of the table.
More goals later, but now it's competition time on Gazzetta Football Italia. You can win a luxury trip to Italy and some super runners-up prizes by answering a simple question. Our live game tomorrow features AC Milan against Torino. Milan share their magnificent ground with Inter. But what is the stadium called? Is it A, the Olympic Stadium, B, the Comunale, or C, the San Siro? When you've made your choice, for an all-expenses trip for 2 to watch the Italian Cup final next June. And 5 lucky runners-up will win an edition of this exciting football game. Now, last week we asked you, which club did David Platt play for in Italy last season? The answer, Bari. Our lucky winner, Mr. L. Perrier of Weybridge in Surrey. and 5 runners-up, all of whom win editions of our football game. Page 465 of Channel 4's teletext service, Quartel, carries further details of this competition. Our competition winner looks like having a glamour tie to watch because all the big boys have got through after this week's third round second leg ties. AC Milan, 3-0 up after the first leg against Cagliari, rested most of their foreign stars and had Ruud Gullit and Frank Rijkaard out injured. But they were still able to contain the Sardinians in the round's only goalless draw. Paul Gascoigne was in excellent form for Lazio, and he was only kept off the score sheet by good goalkeeping and the woodwork against Cesena. It was Riedler who opened the account in the 36th minute after Signori made the opening. The German doesn't miss chances like this. Cesena goalkeeper Fontana kept Lazio at bay with some great saves, but he couldn't stop man of the match Aaron Winter scoring number 2 after 69 minutes. Signori should have got another from Gazza's pass. He did everything right, apart from the finish. Dino Zoff brought off Gazza with the tie now 1, but the scoring wasn't over. Signori and Riedler combined sweetly for Signori to claim his 13th goal of the season. The visitors' only reply, an injury time penalty from Hubner. The highest scoring tie of the round was between Genoa and Juventus, a 7-goal thriller, making it 22 goals in the last 3 matches for Genoa at the Luigi Ferraris Stadium. Not that the fans saw a lot through the fog. Juventus 1-0 first leg winners went ahead through Dino Baggio after only 5 minutes of a furious tie which saw 7 bookings. Bortolazzi's cracking free kick levelled things. But Muller made it 2-1 for Juve when Vialli touched on Baggio's cross. Genoa missed several chances. Casiraghi, playing up front alongside Vialli, justified his inclusion with number 3 for Juventus 2 minutes into the second half. Roberto Baggio replaced David Platt midway through the half, but with 9 minutes left, Genoa staged a real fight back. Thomas Couravi made it 3-2, and with 5 minutes left, the young defender Panucci levelled things on the night. Juventus was still ahead on aggregate, but Dino Baggio made sure in injury time with this screamer. Easiest victory of the round came for Napoli. 2-1 up after the first leg, they added 5 more away at Verona. Francini led the way after 12 minutes. Once Pollicano made it 2-0 5 minutes later, Napoli, who had rested Careca and Ferrara, took off their other star striker, Fonseca. It didn't affect their potency in attack, and after Pellegrini brought down Ferrante, Zola scored from the spot on the half hour. Pollicano made it 4 as Verona crumbled again. Then Zola completed a 5-0 drubbing and a 7-1 aggregate victory early in the second half. But Verona never gave up. Inter Milan completed a good week following up Sunday's win over Juventus with a cup victory over Foggia. 0-0 after the first leg, it was Ruben Sosa who broke the deadlock after 38 minutes, after Panchev created the opening. Foggia could have made things tighter, but Luigi Di Biagio hit the bar and Bresciani wasted two simple chances. Four minutes after the interval, Stefano Desideri made sure for Inter with their second from Orlando's cross. Foggia still created chances, but Bresciani completed a sad hat-trick of misses. It just wasn't his night. The referee had a difficult night as Torino saw off Bari's challenge. He booked 6 players and sent off 3 later on. Torino rested their key men Schifo and Aguilera before tomorrow's vital game at Milan, but they won the match in the 75th minute when Annoni's free kick was deflected in by Rizzardi. Bari, 2-1 down on aggregate, had Barone and Cucchi sent off in the final minutes as tempers erupted, and Torino's Bruno was also given the red card. After 6 goals in the first leg, the Fiorentina-Roma return was slightly quieter, although both sides missed chances. Roma's best opportunity came after Muzzi had been fouled by the goalkeeper, but Giannini missed from the spot. Rizzitelli gave Fiorentina heart after 69 minutes, pulling it back to 4-3 on aggregate. But Battistuta's 84th minute equaliser saw Roma home, 5-3 over the 2 legs. It was a strange goal, coming from a free kick after a debatable back pass. Battistuta deadly from 6 yards. In Thursday night's tie, cup holders Parma struggled to a 1-1 draw at Venezia, but it was enough to take them through 2-1 on aggregate. The draw sees a big derby, Milan versus Inter. Napoli face Roma and Juventus meet Parma. Lazio's reward is 2 big games with Torino. Let's get Gazza's views on his team's cup exploits and the rest of his week's news.
Hi folks again. Well, I've had another good week. 2 great results. First was against Atalanta. Had a little bit of problem there. One of the Brazilians got sent off. You know, people were saying Gazza involved in the bust up again, but that isn't a problem to me because you know, we got the result and that's all that matters of the day, and I didn't get sent off. And we all know how strict the Italian referees are, so it just shows how good boy I was, how much of a good boy I was. You know, it was good to see spirit amongst the teams. Look at the young lad come in, you know, and seeing the bother and come in, and I think that's what the spirit you need in teams. And it was good to see some of the Italian lads sticking up for us. And that just makes you want to win for them as well. You know, we had the same sort of spirit at Tottenham, and it seemed to carry on for us. So it's good to have the spirit. And even when the guys score, you know, we scored the other week and there was about 14 guys around the guy who scored. And the game had been finished, but I think it was just the spirit, which was fantastic. The cup match, Chesna, we played, you know, I keep on saying I'm going to score and I never do, so I said to Chesna I'm not going to score, and gets a free kick, and the goalkeeper made a fantastic start. In fact, it was probably the best he's I've ever seen. And tipped down to the bar, but you know, I got through that game again, so my fitness is no problem, even though I got took off at 20 minutes to go. Hopefully that's just saved me for Sunday. But we played well and we got a 3-1 result. We seem to be scoring plenty of goals at the moment. It's fantastic. Weather's not too good, but I'm still enjoying life. I don't know if you heard the news. Well, I've got a chance of playing a friendly against one of the best players in the world, if not at his time was the best player in the world, Maradona. I'm really looking forward to the match. It's on November the 11th at Bayern Munich in Germany. So that's 2 reasons to win. One, it's in Germany, and the other's against Maradona. The fitness at the moment is fantastic. You know, I've been training really well and keep putting it in. Obviously, some training sessions I don't put it in as much as because I'm really tired, and the other is because we've had plenty of games coming up. But one thing is I am looking forward to is the next England match against Turkey. So all you who are watching the programme, make sure you turn up for this match because it'll be a very, very big match. Just to finally round it off, play against Udinese. In fact, we had a player there, play at Lazio, the big goalkeeper. He's playing for Indonesia at the moment. He's not a bad player. He's not a bad goalkeeper. And hopefully I'll be trying to score a goal past him. But like I said before, I'm sick of saying I'm going to score. This week I'm not going to score.
Welcome back.
Salvatore Schillaci nearly capped a fine game with a goal in injury time, but Peruzzi was in no mood for a party and denied his ex-teammate. The Sicilian striker has only scored twice this season, but his goal tally doesn't reflect the quality of his play. So the derby of Italy goes Inter's way this time, and they move up to 4th place. Genoa looking for their first win after 6 draws in a row, took the lead after 4 minutes through Onorati. It was his first goal in nearly 2 years. They went 2-0 up 5 minutes later when Ruotolo started and finished a move to score at the near post. It was Ruotolo's first goal of the season. As the first 15 minutes elapsed, Genoa made it 3-0 when Dobrovolsky, playing his first game for the club, went through the Pescara defence and chipped the ball over Savarani. Tremendous finish by the Russian. He'll remember this goal for a long, long time. Pescara, now 3-0 down, started a revival. They pulled a goal back here. Bivi dummy to Ferretti. He finds Sliskovic on the edge of the 6-yard box, and he finishes impressively. They pulled another back 2 minutes before half-time when Massara's free kick took a deflection off Fortunato to loop over the goalkeeper. The fight back continued deep into the first half. Contender for goal of the week coming up by Eddie Bivi. It was a striker's second of the season, which ended a first half littered with goals. In the second half, Padovano's denied by Savarani's brave save. Padovano then threaded the ball through to Onorati, who made it 4-3 to Genoa. It was his second of the game. Genoa incited their first win of the season. The game also saw another first. In a bizarre twist, the referee Chiesa booked Dobrovolsky twice, first for infringing at the free kick, and then ungentlemanly conduct, diving inside the penalty area. Amazingly, the referee didn't send him off. 2 points to Genoa, but the game might have to be replayed because of that incident. Only Parma stood in the way of Milan and a record 41st consecutive game without defeat. The pressure started early on as both Gullit and Van Basten went close from long range. Van Basten juggles the ball to feed Gullit on the edge of the box, but the Dutch international teammate shoots tamely wide. Then Donadoni's corner was met by Maldini, who headed over the top. Parma had one real attack of any note in the first half when Aspria crossed for Melli to head straight at Antonioli. It was only a matter of time before Milan went ahead. Aranio on for the injured Gullit, beat 2 defenders and crossed for Papin to score his second in consecutive games. The French striker's enjoying his run in the team due to an injury to Frank Rijkaard. De Chiara weaved his way through a red and black wall, but arguably shot too soon here. Maldini hit the accelerator to move clear of the chasing pack, and before his legs gave way, Aranio's on hand to give fresh impetus to the attack. It was almost a case of 2 falls or a submission before Maldini found his tag partner, but this was a real body slam for Parma, and Milan now have 13 straight wins when it proved to be unlucky. Second place Torino in red were trying to get over their midweek UEFA Cup defeat against Dinamo Moscow. Aguilera was trying to get over the fact that Udinese's goal was leading a charmed life early on. While Aguilera can't be criticised for his persistence, his accuracy was left wanting. Branca threatened to revive memories of Torino's midweek disappointment. Udinese's disappointment came a minute before half-time, when Calore dragged down Silenzi. Watch the defender's right arm as he hauls Silenzi to the ground. Coming up, Enzo Schifo's third goal of the season. Into the second half now, and Mussi does a fair impersonation of a drunkard, and Branca almost toasts the equaliser. Torino's left flank was Branca's target as he ghosts in here. Everything seemed possible for Aguilera, everything that is except finding the net. This is a game Torino left-back Sergio will want to forget as Delano crosses here. Kosminski volleys straight at Marchigiani. Final score 1-0.
Torino stay second, and tomorrow they face Milan at the San Siro. So the champions still in their accustomed place at the top. Torino, the only other unbeaten side in the top 5. Gazza's Lazio in a challenging position ahead of Juventus. At the bottom of Serie A, Foggia and Pescara are already in danger, but Napoli among those not far away. In the scoring list, Marco Van Basten surprisingly not in his usual place at the top. Can he add to his 8 tomorrow when the league's leading pair clash at the San Siro? James Richardson has been to Turin to gauge the mood.
This is the Stadio delle Alpi in Turin, a magnificent 71,000-seat affair built for the World Cup that now hosts the town's 2 football clubs, Juventus and Torino. And what different football clubs they are. Juventus regularly attract 50,000 fans here to their home games. Torino are lucky to get away with 20,000. Juventus spend £25 million on their summer acquisitions, while Torino have to sell so many of their players that they end up making a profit of £12 million. Now, bearing all that in mind, it's rather surprising that currently Juventus are lying 5th in Serie A, licking their Inter-inflicted wounds, while Torino are still unbeaten and lying 2nd in the league, only to Milan.
Oh, you can't understand. I would like to know English quite well to explain you what does it mean. I think that Torino is a permanent betting, because to have a second team, first division, in the city dominated by the Agnelli family, by the Fiat power, which means Juventus power, is already a big victory.
In una città come Torino essere davanti alla Juventus credo che sia una cosa importantissima, anche perché è una concorrente temibilissima.
Of all the teams to share cities with, Juventus have to be one of the toughest. Historically, they're Italy's most successful side, and in a Turin dominated by the Fiat Group, owners of Juventus, Torino have had to struggle for attention. Torino's best period came between the years 1945 and 1949. In that period, the team won an incredible 4 consecutive national titles. However, their reign was cut short on the 4th of May 1949 by the Superga disaster. In the middle of a violent thunderstorm, the team's aeroplane crashed into this mountainside here outside Torino, killing everyone on board. Since then, the team has returned to the glory of a championship title just once, in the season of 1975-76. And by 1989, their diminishing fortunes had seen them relegated to Serie B. In the year of their demotion, Torino were bought by Gianmauro Borsano, a financier with political ambitions, who immediately took the club back into Serie A. Local support for his successes with the team helped him gain election to the Italian Parliament this April. However, since then, his behaviour over the sale of the club's rising star Lentini to Milan has driven a wedge between Torino and their fans.
Lentini espose al Torino e a Borsano il suo desiderio di rimanere a Torino, anche perché aveva alle spalle delle proposte della Juventus di ingaggiarlo negli anni prossimi, e Borsano acconsentì a tenere Lentini in squadra, dicendo che per tenerlo era costretto a vendere altri giocatori. Ed infatti cedette il capitano Cravero alla Lazio, Policano al Napoli, Benedetti alla Roma. dei sacrifici che motivò appunto con lo scopo di trattenere Lentini a Torino. Negli ultimissimi giorni di mercato invece esplose la bomba, Lentini venne ceduto al Milan. Da questo una contestazione violenta, anche incidenti intorno alla sede del Torino, e adesso la contestazione che si è placata solo adesso nei confronti del presidente, ma che continua a tenere lontani molti tifosi dallo stadio.
With Borsano's sale of some of the team's brightest talents, Torino's fans feel that once again the squad has been robbed of its rightful future, and they're showing no signs of forgiving and forgetting.
Malgrado il Torino abbia fatto un eccellente inizio di stagione, sia adesso davanti alla Juventus e solo al secondo posto alle spalle di questo Milan stellare, i tifosi sono ancora scettici, aspettano che Borsano vada via, venda come ha promesso il Torino per ritornare compatti allo stadio.
Last weekend's crowd was one of the worst in Serie A, and Borsano's interests now lie very firmly elsewhere. If he can find a buyer, he looks set to be gone by the end of the season, leaving behind a Torino squad that's currently outperforming all expectations.
Diciamo, ha sempre dato qualcosa in più di quanto noi speravamo potesse dare, e allora sono venuti i risultati. Ha sorpreso tantissima gente, e magari anche il suo allenatore.
Io penso che sono da 2 anni qua e non è cambiato nulla, c'è sempre questa mentalità che sicuramente nei momenti difficili magari dà una carica in più.
Ma io credo che il Torino è una squadra che può mettere in difficoltà qualsiasi squadra del calcio italiano, però dipende sempre da noi, vuol dire non la paura di vincere, sino la paura di che giochiamo contro grandi campioni, 41 partite che non perdono. Per quello ti ho detto, non abbiamo niente da perdere, dobbiamo andare a San Siro a vincere.
The activities of Serie A's top defence and the addition of Carlos Aguilera from Genoa have eased Torino's summer trading pains considerably. But the easy part of their season is now over. In the next month they must face Juventus, Genoa, Lazio, Dynamo Moscow away, and tomorrow afternoon at the San Siro, a Milan team unbeaten for 41 games.
Noi speriamo che anche di fronte a delle difficoltà più grandi di quelle attuali, tutti quanti riusciamo ad avere ancora questo tipo di mentalità, che è un po' l'unica prerogativa che abbiamo a disposizione contro squadre che chiaramente hanno giocatori, almeno sulla carta, molto più bravi dei nostri.
Però è sempre vero che difficoltà ha dimostrato di averne, per esempio a Pescara dove ha preso 4 gol, o anche a Firenze dove ne ha presi 3. L'importante è cercare di non prenderne quante le altre squadre che hanno preso il Pescara 5 e la Fiorentina 7.
Giocare contro il Milan sicuramente dà una carica in più, anche perché abbiamo la possibilità di essere primi in classifica. Questo è un'occasione a non sbagliare.
È chiaro che questo 10-20% di possibilità che abbiamo di poter uscire con un risultato positivo andrà in favore degli altri che ne hanno 80-90%. Noi però come mentalità siamo decisissimi a giocarci proprio al 100% queste piccole possibilità che abbiamo di uscire da San Siro contro la squadra più forte del mondo con un risultato positivo.
Torino have responded phenomenally well to the many problems they face this year, although to see just how strong a championship contender they are, we'll have to wait till the Milan game tomorrow. They may give themselves publicly a chance of 10% at the San Siro, but deep down the squad here feels that their tourist spirit could just be the edge necessary to beat the supposedly unbeatable Milan. However, there have been 41 other occasions when teams have probably thought the same thing.
Well, let's get Gazza's view on this game.
Milan-Torino. Well, we all know how big Milan is, and Torino will find it very, very tough with Milan being at home, and I can see Milan carrying on with their record, 2-0, 3-0 win.
So Milan versus Torino, live and exclusive here on Channel 4 tomorrow. Our programme starts at 1:15. Join us for that.